far, we have looked at intra-procedural register allocation, which only looks at register allocation within one function and does not care about other functions, except to make correct code at function calls. And you select caller save versus callee save registers when possible. Normally, local variables and compiler-generated temporaries are used in register allocation. Global variables, they are sometimes copied into local variables, used as local variables, and then written back if needed. That is done in intra-procedural register allocation. It's one form of something called register promotion. The problem for global variables when we do this is that at function calls, without knowing what happens in that function, we have to save the value of a global variable before calling it, I mean if we have modified it, and then load it in case we want to use that value, since the called function may either read and or modify any global variable. Okay, so interprocedural register allocation aims at doing register allocation for global variables in a set of functions so that they don't have to be saved and restored at function calls. Okay, to do this, it's preferable, but not strictly completely necessary, to have the whole program available for analysis. Usually, some object files are not available, for instance, in system libraries. On the other hand, system libraries, they typically cannot access global variables which the program uses. I mean, if the program introduces a variable x, it's there is no risk that, for instance, malloc will use that variable. But there are system global variables, such as some version of Arno to store error code in, which can be used both by library codes and normal application codes. So one have to be careful. I mean, if one does not have the complete source code. What can be done is to inspect the symbol table of an object file to see which variables are accessed by that function. Sorry, by that in that file. That does not help, however, if a global variable is passed as, I mean, if we pass a pointer to a global variable. So then we don't know. From the object file, I mean .o file. So if we have taken the address of a global variable, it's complicated to allocate that to a register. Okay. To do interprocedural register allocation, we need a graph which represents the different calls. So the nodes are functions and the edges are calls. Who should find this graph? Well, for instance, the linker or I mean something which sees all the files can construct it. Modern compilers, they have something called link time optimization, LTO. And a part of that can construct this call graph.